Amsterdam is a city famous for its coffee shops, canals, houseboats, historic architecture, and its red light district. Founded in 1275, the city grew in importance and wealth as Dutch colonies were set up around the world via the Dutch East India Company. Today, it's one of the most popular destinations in Europe. While the red light district put the city on the map, travelers have since realized that there is much more to Amsterdam than meets the eye. Here you'll find dozens of art museums, beautiful parks, wonderful outdoor cafes, lots of history, and a love of life here. This city is by far one of the most beautiful in the world. There's nothing like cruising around the canals on a sunny day or relaxing in Vondelpark with a good book. I briefly lived in Amsterdam years ago, and I can tell you the best of Amsterdam is found outside the city center in the smaller neighborhoods with their quiet charm and canal-side cafes. Don't hesitate to wander and get lost in this city. You'll be pleasantly surprised by what you discover. This Amsterdam travel guide can help you plan your trip to what remains one of my favorite cities in the world. Top 5 things to see and do in Amsterdam. 1. Visit the Van Gogh Museum. This museum is home to hundreds of incredible Van Gogh paintings alongside an excellent biography of his life. I can spend hours just staring at the paintings, as Van Gogh is one of my favorite artists. It also has paintings by other famous masters of the period like Monet, Manet, and Matisse. It's one of the best museums in the city. Book your ticket ahead of time online or go in the afternoon to avoid massive lines. Admission is €20. 2. Take a canal tour. One of the best ways to see the city is from the canals. Most people take a tour with a large company, with tons of different canal tours on offer, from a pizza cruise to ones with wine and cheese to full-out booze cruises with unlimited drinks. If you can though, I suggest you rent your own boat. Eco Boats Amsterdam has small, open-air boats that give you a more intimate experience while still being affordable when shared with friends or other travelers. Prices start at €50 per hour. 3. Explore the Jordan. This former working-class district is now a maze of trendy cafes, cool shops, and hip restaurants. It's a peaceful place to wander while avoiding the massive tourists crowding the main streets just a few blocks away. During the summer, it's a popular spot where locals eat. I absolutely love wandering around here, people watching while dining, and visiting the weekend farmers market. While in the area, be sure to eat at Motors and Winkel 43. 4. Visit Anne Frank House. This is where Anne Frank and her family hid during World War II. It showcases her childhood, life in the attic, as well as other information about the Holocaust. There's also a display of her real handwritten diary. It's a sad and moving place. Admission is €14. Tickets are only available online and sell out quickly. Every first Tuesday of the month, all tickets for the following month become available, so be sure to snag yours as soon as possible. The museum is usually quite crowded, so if you'd like a more in-depth experience, taking this Anne Frank walking tour is an excellent alternative option, as you get to learn about Anne Frank's life, the Dutch resistance, and Jewish life during World War II from an expert local guide. 5. Hang out in Vondelpark. Vondelpark was created in 1865 and spans over 48 hectares. Amsterdam's largest and most popular park, it's a great place to walk, bike, people watch, or relax, especially after a visit to a local coffee shop. There's a playground as well as places to play sports. Bring a book, pack some food, and lounge the day away. Other things to see and do in Amsterdam. 1. Take a free walking tour. One of the first things I do in a new city is take a walking tour. They're the best way to orient yourself to the city, learn some history, and find out where the major sites are. I think free walking tours are a wonderful first activity in any city. In Amsterdam, I recommend Free Walking Tours Amsterdam and New Europe. They both run great tours that can get you started on the right foot. Just be sure to tip your guide. 2. Visit the Amsterdam Museum. This museum features a comprehensive history of Amsterdam. It's big, so you need 3-4 hours to really go through it in detail. There are a lot of relics, maps, paintings, and audio-visual displays throughout the museum that bring the city's history to life. My favorite is the video that shows the growth and construction of the city over time. The museum is located in a former monastery that was also once an orphanage. I can't recommend this museum enough. It's one of the best history museums I've ever visited. Admission is €20. 3. See the Tulip Museum. Located in a room inside a tulip shop, this small museum does an interesting job of telling the history of tulips in Holland, including the infamous tulip craze. It only takes 30-60 minutes and, best of all, it's never crowded. 5. See photography at Foam. This photography museum houses wonderful pictures and sees few crowds despite being in the main part of the city. I really enjoyed all the black and white photographs in the outdoor garden. They change the exhibits all the time, so you never know what is going to be on display. I visit each time I'm in the city. You can check the website to see what's on during your visit. Admission is €12.50. 6. Squeeze into the Houseboat Museum. This decorated houseboat provides an interesting glimpse into what living on the canals is like. I walked away with one impression of life on the canals: super neat, but super cramped. With admission at €4.50, it's the cheapest museum in town and is worth a quick visit. 7. Explore Oost. The area east of the city has an amazing park, a zoo, and lots of good eateries. Wandering around here, you'll be hard-pressed to find more than a handful of tourists, most of whom are probably lost. It's off the beaten path and an underrated part of the city. Also, spend some time hanging out in Ooster Park. I enjoy coming here because it's far quieter and more peaceful than Vondel Park. 8. Relax in Rembrandt Park. Not to be confused with Rembrandtplein in the city center, this park west of the city is a leisurely place to wander. The area around it is more modern than elsewhere in Amsterdam. It's a nice contrast to the historic center. You know you are there when signs suddenly stop being printed in English and are only in Dutch. 9. Try the Heineken experience. While I find this experience to be overpriced and commercial, it's nevertheless an interesting stop for beer fans. Here you'll get an overview of the company, a few samples, and some silly games to play. Note that this isn't an actual working brewery, just a place where you can learn a lot about one of the world's most popular beer brands. Admission is €21 and the price includes 2 beers. You can also get a joint ticket online for both the Heineken experience and a canal cruise. 10. See the windmills. The Dutch are famous for their windmills, and setting out on an adventure to visit the windmills surrounding Amsterdam is a great way to take in the city. There are 8 in total, most of which are in Amsterdam West. De Guijer is the closest to the city center and also happens to be a brewery, making it the perfect place to start. It's just a quick 20-minute train ride from Amsterdam Centraal. Another windmill worth seeing is Sloten Mill, which is a reconstructed mill from 1847 that's open to the public. Tours last 45 minutes and cost €7.50. You can also take guided tours to Zandschans, an open-air living history museum that is often known as the Windmill Town, and where you not only learn about the inner workings of the windmills but other traditional Dutch crafts like clog and cheese making. 11. Stroll through the Plantage. This district in Amsterdam is comprised of tree-lined boulevards, quintessential canal scenes, several gardens and parks, and the Arties Royal Zoo. It's a beautiful place to stroll and there's a lot to see and do if you're traveling with kids. Beyond the main zoo area, Arties is also host to a zoological museum, a planetarium, and an aquarium. Tickets start at €25. 12. Drink at the House of Balls. This is one of the most underrated attractions in Amsterdam. Run by the Balls Distillery, this is a Dutch gin museum. The self-guided interactive tour takes about an hour and will tickle your senses. Of course, it includes a cocktail at the end as well. It's a must for gin drinkers and cocktail snobs. Admission is €16. 13. Visit the Rijksmuseum. The Rijksmuseum is located next to the Van Gogh Museum and, after years of renovation, it's now beautifully remodeled. The museum features an extensive Rembrandt collection, including the famous painting The Night Watch. Besides Rembrandt, there's also a robust collection of other classic Dutch painters like Frans Hals and Johannes Vermeer. Over 1 million works of art, craftworks, and historical objects are kept in the collection, so be sure to budget a few hours. Admission is €20. You can book your tickets online in advance to save time. 14. Wander the Museum van Loon. The Museum van Loon is a double-sized canal house located on the Keizersgracht Canal. Built in 1672, the house was owned by the wealthy Van Loon merchant family who curated a beautiful art collection. Their home is now a museum with period furniture, art, and family portraits. There's a beautiful garden here too. This offbeat museum is not to be missed. Admission is €12.50. 15. Shop at the Waterlooplein Flea Market. This open-air market is a giant flea market. Everything can be found here. There are around 300 stalls and people sell secondhand clothes, hats, antiques, gadgets, gems, bikes, and more. You can find new items here too. If there's something you want, it's probably here. It's open Monday to Saturday. 16. Take a day trip to Haarlem. Just a quick train ride from Amsterdam. Haarlem is a quiet Dutch town that has a picturesque central church, great outdoor market, and all the beauty of historic Amsterdam with fewer crowds. The train costs between €4 and takes about 15 minutes. It's the perfect place to escape for an afternoon. 17. Visit Noord. Leave the city center, take the ferry across the IJ, and visit the up-and-coming area of Noord Amsterdam. In the last few years, a lot of people have moved here, cool markets and restaurants have opened, and a lot of old industrial land has been reclaimed for public use. It's the new hip place to be. If you're into obscure cinema, be sure to visit the famous Amsterdam's Film Museum. Admission is €11.50. 18. Read at the Amsterdam Library. The city's library is a beautiful modern building built in 2007. It's gigantic, overlooks the IJ, and has a wonderful top-floor cafe for impressive views of the city. It's one of my favorite places to relax in the city. It's quiet, peaceful, and there's nothing like reading a good book with a great view. 19. Eat your way around Food Hallen. Located in Amsterdam West, this place is what the name implies, a food hall. Located in a refurbished tram depot, this indoor food hall has various vendors serving a variety of delicious food. Bring an appetite. 20. Explore the red light district. Unsurprisingly, Amsterdam's red light district is one of the city's main draws. Though much tamer than in previous years, the red light district manages to balance sex and seediness with being a major international tourist attraction. While it's worth seeing, I'd keep your time here brief. It's quite calm and quiet during the day, but at night the area is bursting with drunken revelers and gawking tourists that clog the sidewalks. Even if it's not your scene, I'd still make sure to see the area with your own eyes at least once. It's certainly unique. 21. See the Erotic Museum and the Amsterdam Sex Museum. Tucked away in an old warehouse in the red light district, the Erotic Museum highlights eroticism in all its various forms throughout the ages. It has sculptures, paintings, drawings, photographs, and other artwork. And, of course, there is a gift shop if you want a more unique souvenir from the city. The Amsterdam Sex Museum is the more serious museum and is much more informative than the Erotic Museum. It was the world's first sex museum, having opened in 1985. It highlights the history of sexual views and norms, as well as the lives of some of the world's most sexually famous individuals. 3. See the Museum Amstelkring. Hidden inside a 17th century canal house, this is one of the most interesting churches I've ever been to. Ons Lief Europa Soter is a clandestine Catholic church that was secretly built during Protestant rule on the third floor of a regular house. Built in the 1660s, the church has a beautiful drawing room and the furnishings and artifacts make this one of the best 17th century rooms still intact. Admission is €14. 24. Learn about drugs at the Hash, Marijuana and Hemp Museum. No trip to Amsterdam is complete without learning a little bit about drugs. This museum is full of information about the historical and modern use of cannabis. It covers all the medicinal, religious, and cultural uses of the plant and focuses on how hemp can be used for all sorts of beneficial agricultural, consumer, and industrial products. It's actually really educational. Admission is €9. 25. Do a bike tour. Bikes are to Amsterdam like wine is to Bordeaux. The locals love to bike everywhere and there are supposedly more bikes than people in the city. Bike usage has skyrocketed in the past 2 decades and locals collectively cycle over 2 million kilometers every day. If you want to explore the way the locals do, take a bike tour. Mike's Bike Tours is the best company to use, whether for a tour or to rent a bike on your own. Not only do they offer city tours but they also offer bike tours of the surrounding countryside as well. Tours start at €34 and last around 3 hours. 26. Browse the Stedelijk Museum. I'll be honest, if you like this video please subscribe our channel. Thanks for watching.